It is known that more than 100 million animals are used every year in animal testing. Today, I'm going to talk about why animal testing is necessary for the betterment of society. We're going to talk about what animal testing is, ways it is necessary and needed, and finally, how getting rid of animal testing would be a huge mistake. Animal testing, although unethical, is necessary and needed to provide safe and unharmful products to humans. So what is animal testing? Animal testing pertains to the testing of chemical or medical or pharmaceutical products on animals before they are given out to human consumers. It is used to preserve human life. In their article titled Ethical and Scientific Considerations Regarding Animal Testing and Research, Hope for Dowson states, despite the attention brought to the issue by Russell and Birch, two former researchers of animal testing, the number of animals used in research and testing has continued to increase. Recent estimates suggest that at least 100 million animals are used each year worldwide. As the author stated, the numbers are continuing to grow. Now that we covered what animal testing is, I'm going to talk about why it's needed and necessary for the betterment of society. In a new article published in 2020, author Hassan Turkay states, recent findings on animal models suggest that early exposure to EE is more effective in reducing AD-related psychological deficiencies than late onset of amyloidogenesis and indicates long-term protective effects. Now, as just like you, I'm very confused by this statement. I don't know what amyloidogenesis is, AD-related psychological deficiencies. But when I went and read more in depth of this, what the article is about is Alzheimer's and how we would be 10 years behind in research if we didn't have animal testing, because there is no other alternative that can provide feedback like a living organism. The move away from animal testing. In their article titled Ending the Use of Animals in Toxicity Testing and Risk Evaluation, authors Tom Beauchamp, David DeGrazia, and Andrew Rowan talk about a big pro of animal testing having the ability to provide factual data that computers are just not capable of at this time. As you can see on this graph that I've included in this slide, it says this graph shows the number of tests performed using an alternative to animal testing from 1980 to 2013. So as you can see, in 1980, there was 6 other tests that weren't animal testing used around the world. And then in 2013, so 7 years ago, 7 years ago, the technology is not what it was today. 7 years ago, there was 182,121 tests that were not on living animals. Although technology can be used and it's possible to do that, nothing can compete with animal testing in the forms how it can give back feedback like a person, because no alternative can provide like breathing feedback, because no alternative has active lungs. No alternative can provide we're going to go to the next point. In the article titled Animal Testing is Still the Best Way to Find New Treatments for Patients, authors Silvio Garatini and Giuliano Grignacci state, not always have the animals' results been translated into effective drugs, but the failures themselves have helped to reformulate the model or the experimental conditions or the type of chemical. The problem is selecting, for a given human target or function, the animal species that most closely resembles man, which should in principle be possible, drawing on the diversity of the animal kingdom. So I concluded a little description at the bottom here that says this describes the idea that no form of testing can be perfect. And that is true. Even animal testing at its peak is roughly 81% accurate. This describes the idea that no form of testing can be perfect, but none other will be as effective as animal testing has and will be. The last thing I'm going to talk about today is some new alternatives that are claimed to be able to outperform animal testing. When we read Predicting Toxicity of Chemicals, Software Beats Animal Testing by author Thomas Hartog, he states, for the 6 most used toxicity tests, animal repeat tests show 81% balanced accuracy. Now, the machine they have created, the machine learning approach, achieved 87% balanced accuracy. The comparison was even more impressive when they looked at the identification of toxic substances, in which the repeat animal testing succeeded in 69% of cases and the machine learning in 89%. All right, so with this machine they've created that can do this, like it said in the quote, they have created a basically almighty machine that can perform at 90% accuracy. Now, the odds of this machine being able to do what animal testing can do are very low. While this machine can predict toxicity in animals, that cannot help lead us towards cures for diseases like animal testing can. It cannot lead to cures for animals like animal testing can. For example, whenever there's a new rabies vaccine comes out, of course, it is tested on animals and animals that have rabies. And more times than not, the animals are actually healed because the vaccine is correct. But what will keeping animal testing do for society? Overall, animal testing has always been contradicted since it came around. There's a lot of people that are very against animal testing because they believe it's just murder of innocent animals. While it is possible to see it that way, animal testing has saved many, many lives. While it may seem unethical to kill these animals, it is actually benefiting us more than it is hurting. Today, we discussed what animal testing really is, ways it's needed, and ways that we have to keep it. And the last thing we discussed was alternatives that will never truly be able to replace animal testing. So thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something about animal testing.